Yet another beautiful day in Arizona. We come to you from Salt River Fields at Talking Stick in Scottsdale. The Sox hit the road for the NL West's Colorado Rockies. Spring training baseball is brought to you by Canals Auto Park. Good afternoon, Jason Benetti. Steve Stone will be along in a moment. The question for the Sox offensively coming into this season was, where will the power come from? Last year, 136 home runs, last in the league. This spring, it's been a much different story. 42 homers, and you see exactly how home runs correlate to the regular season. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but last year, the numbers were low both ways. The hope is the 42 this spring can carry over to the regular season. And as I welcome in Steve Stone, you look at the Colorado Rockies and you know where the power is coming from with these guys.
They got a couple of stars on this team. One we're not going to see today, that's Nolan Arenado, and one we are going to see today, and that's Carlos Gonzalez. Take a look at what he did last year, and it's pretty amazing when you break it down by halves. Overall last year, 40 home runs, 97 driven in. That's really good. However, the second half was spectacular. 27 home runs, 62 driven in. Take a look at his slugging percentage at .638, so things got a whole lot better. Unfortunately for the Rockies, they didn't have much pitching, and things were bad overall last year for them.
Well, for the Sox, in terms of pitching at this point, John Danks has had 2 superlative starts in a row. We'll see if it becomes a third today.
Well, Robin Ventura, talking about Johnny Danks, said he made a couple of adjustments. That's exactly what you have to do. But the Danks we've seen the last 2 times out was absolutely spectacular. His changeup was down. It was away most of the time, and he gets a strikeout here. There, he got a strikeout on a breaking ball. This time, the change again before yet another change to a left-hander, which is most unusual. So Johnny coming off 2 starts where everything worked for him. He's working on the arm side pitches, and as you can see in 11 innings, he's given up absolutely nothing. Kept the ball in the ballpark, walked only 3, and all in all for Johnny Danks, this was the type of spring he was looking forward to. This is the type of spring the Sox were looking forward to from Johnny Danks. Let's see if he can carry it over today.
Can you believe it? Only 3 days left in Arizona. This is one of the final 3 games in spring training for the Sox before the exhibitions in San Diego and the opening 4-game set at Oakland. First pitch in this game, Sox and Colorado Rockies coming up from Salt River at Talking Stick, and we hope you can join us with Chuck Garfien after this.
Yeah, because we don't know about if you like relish or not.
White Sox and Rockies getting set for action in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, here on Comcast Sportsnet. And hello, everyone. Chuck Garfien here, just hanging out A talking stick, Salt River Fields with some popcorn here. I'll get to the popcorn in a moment, but first let's talk about some White Sox. John Danks admits the last 3 seasons for him, disappointing, but he's working on his command, trying to simplify things here during spring training. He got off to a rough start, but he's been lights out the last couple of games, 11 straight scoreless innings, and Robin Ventura is impressed and pleased with his progress so far here in spring.
Well, I think, he's made some adjustments. I think, we're always saying that. I mean, guys are making adjustments, and you're getting through it. But I thought it was encouraging last time out of, how he pitched and how he went about it. So, it's another test of going through it and seeing where he's at. And I know mentality-wise, competitive-wise, he's always going to be there. I think it's been better. He looks stronger. It looks better, but he always needs that distance between his fastball and his changeup to make it work, and he has to locate. Some days it's better than others, but it's been better as of late.
Has Navarro had a good effect on him, working with him?
Yeah, I think both of them. Even with Alex doing the same thing, it's been a nice little thing to see those guys come in and mix well with the pitchers.
A few starts ago, Deanna Navarro actually told John Danks that he was tipping his pitches the way he was holding his glove a certain way. Ever since he corrected that problem, he's been lights out. We'll see if that continues today here against the Rockies. So it is the White Sox and the Rockies. Jason and Steve will have the call and the starting lineups coming up. I'm going to get to some popcorn. Enjoy the game, everybody. White Sox and Rockies coming up next.
Along with you, and we're joined here in the ballpark by Homewood Flossmoor High School popcorn eating leader, Chuck Garfien. All-time popcorn eating leader at HF on Kedzie Avenue. Chuck has been fantastic in his career in that category, and here's the starting lineup for the Sox. The offense has been very good this spring. As we told you in the open, J.B. Shuck, a late add into that 5 position after Eaton, Jackson, Abreu, and Cabrera. Matt Davidson has had an awesome spring, too. Navarro, Saladino, and Carlos Sanchez. Steve Stone has your defense.
Well, let's take a look at the aforementioned defense as we swing around. It's perennial Sox killer Ryan Rayburn, who's probably made this ball club. He's at left. Then it's Blackman and Gonzalez. In the infield, McMahon, Story, LeMahieu, and Paulson. Nick Hundley gets the nod behind the plate, and Jordan Lyles on the hill. Our throwing right-hander, not having a great spring, but his ERA at 5.5. You can see more hits than innings pitched. It's the walks that they usually are concerned about. Left-handers hitting him much better than right-handers. And if Colorado can get any pitching at all this year, they're going to be a pretty decent team because they're going to score a lot of runs. The umpires for the game. Ben May is behind the plate. On the base paths, Dana DeMuth, Anthony Johnson, and Garrett Patterson. So as the Sox come in looking for their 14th win and the Rockies come in looking for their 14th win, This is the big one. And for the play-by-play, I'll turn it over to my partner, Jason Benetti.
Hey, thank you, Steve. By the way, what you said about the Rockies needing pitching, you could can that and put it all the way through their existence, couldn't you?
Pretty much each and every year, although they've had a couple of decent years making the playoffs.
2007.
Getting to the World Series, yeah.
First pitch, Hunting, ground ball to third, and the minor league call-up. Ryan McMahon spears it well against Eaton, one away.
The Rockies very used to seeing everything absolutely sucked up at third base because Nolan Arenado plays there. But this time, Ryan McMahon in to take away the bunt, making a pretty good stab on a one-hop rocket.
So, one down for Austin Jackson, the Sox center fielder today. Sox with 3 games remaining in Arizona, 2 in San Diego, then that 4-game series opening day coming up for the Sox on April the 4th.
One of the things we've seen later in the spring has been the wind has picked up just about every ballpark we're at. This one no exception, and the wind is blowing almost straight out to center field, and it's fairly brisk today.
Jackson in the air to center. Charlie Blackmon has a play. And 2 down. What gives today? There are clouds in this Arizona sky. One of the rare sunless days we've had in spring training.
Well, there's a huge front moving in. Smaller back, but a huge front.
And medium middle.
Well, yes, and it's going to plummet the temperatures, by the way, from the mid-80s, where it will sit today, to right around 70 degrees, which is horrific to the residents here.
Chilly. 2 down for Abreu, and off the glove of DJ LeMahieu into center field. That is a scorcher for the 19th hit of the spring for Jose Abreu.
Last year he led the major leagues in batting average in the spring. This year he's going to be near the top. A rocket back up the middle. Fortunately for Lyles, he was able to get out of the way. And the Gold Glove winner, DJ LeMahieu, not able to corral that one.
Jose Abreu just hits everywhere. Spring training, he's had great spring trainings in his Sox career. Regular season, couple of 100 RBI seasons. And he continues it here this spring with Melky Cabrera up with a runner on and 2 out.
Lyles has always had a strong arm. The question with him was always the breaking ball, and could he get it over the plate consistently? If he can, he could be a pretty decent pitcher because he's going to get a lot of support.
In the air left-hand side, McMahon is back on it, and a tough play is secured to retire the side. So a testing inning for Ryan McMahon and the Rockies defense. They handle it well. 1 stranded for the Sox at the top of the first. Rockies starting lineup starts with Charlie Blackmon in center, then Trevor Story at short, Carlos Gonzalez, Ryan Rayburn, certified Sox killer in the 4th position, Nick Hundley, Ben Paulson, DJ LeMahieu, Ryan McMahon, and the pitcher Jordan Lyles will hit for himself, and here's the defense for the Sox.
There you see Cabrera, Jackson, and Eaton left to right with Davidson, Saladino, Sanchez, and Abreu, Gianna Navarro behind the plate, and Johnny Danks on the hill.
And Danks to the left-hander Blackmon, who's 10 for 39 this spring, strike one. Last 2 starts, shutout starts for John Danks, who looks as though he's going to be in that 5 position in the rotation for the Sox.
One of the reasons you would think is they don't want 4 left-handers in a row at the top. 5 starts. ERA up there the last 2 starts as he's moving toward getting ready for the season much better. Left-handers hitting a paltry 143.
You put 4 lefties in a row. How many times do you think that saves you over the course of the season, a team seeing all your lefties rather than one of your righties? 5, 6 times, something like that?
Well, it's really hard to say because very rarely do you use the same starters all the time. I mean, if you're fortunate, you can hope that maybe you'll have one addition to the starting rotation. Occasionally, teams go through with the same guys, but not often.
To left field, Charlie Blackmon, the speedster, is on with a leadoff single.
You were talking about his base running prowess. As he takes this ball the opposite way, John tries to get that fastball up and in, and Blackmon, who's been a good hitter for quite some time, just dumps it into left field. He's a pretty big man at 6'3", 210. Despite that, 43 bags last year. In this day and age, that's a lot.
That was a big jump even in his career numbers, and even despite the drag caused by his beard.
That's a substantial beard. Have you ever been sporting one of those?
I was going to, even when you started the sentence, I was just going to answer no, likely no.
Ever?
Yeah, the beard doesn't work with me.
I would think it would make you look more distinguished.
Is that possible?
Well, a touch.
I flatter myself. Blackmon holds, and Story swings through a strike.
Been a pretty good spring. And Story hitting just about everything in sight. 5 home runs, which by any measure for spring training is pretty good.
Just 23 years old, shortstop who's 16 out of 42 this spring. To shortstop, Saladino. To second one, Sanchez is late. 6-4 on the fielder's choice. Blackmon retired. Story replaces him.
Trevor Story is the 8th rated prospect in the Colorado organization. They're trying to build from within. It's been a slow process so far, and he nails this one. It's hit right on the screws. That little bobble is all it took to disrupt the timing of the double play, but a good play by Saladino. That one handcuffed him.
So 1 down for Carlos Gonzalez, who was the subject of trade discussions in the media for the spring involving any number of teams in Major League Baseball. 40 home run guy last year, who's got 2 this spring.
Got a couple years left on his contract. He's always been a multi-talented player. Usually he's the best Colorado outfielder at all 3 positions. And really the only thing that stopped Gonzalez over the course of his career has been injuries. If he stays healthy, he's going to put up big numbers, and it really doesn't matter for him if he's hitting in or out of Coors Field. He can get it done, as can Arenado, wherever they go.
Yeah, that season back in 2010, 197 hits. 1-2 on Gonzalez. You mentioned Nolan Arenado, who's not in the lineup today. He has had whatever's above magnificent for the spring. He's had it. 26 out of 47, 12 extra base hits. He's driven in 12.
he's really worth the price of admission. Both sides of the ball. Defensively, he's a wizard. There are some who say that he's as good as just about anybody. One scout said that he never scouted Brooks Robinson, but he can't imagine Brooks Robinson making better plays than Arenado makes on a nightly basis.
1-2. Fouled off by Gonzalez. That is super high praise.
He made it to the major leagues with Oakland to start with in 2008. Then found his way to Colorado, where he has been just a solid player ever since. Lifetime batting average of .290. And again, with or without Coors Field, that's pretty good.
13th pitch of the inning for Danks. Past Sanchez at second. He had a read on it, but couldn't haul it in. And 2 on for the Rockies in this first inning.
Carlos tries to slide to make this play, and I think because of that, sometimes your head has a tendency to move when you slide, and you just don't get as good a read as you should. He's there to make the play. The ball just hops over the glove. We've talked about the lack of rain here and the fact that the infields are very hard all around the Cactus League, and probably that particular ground ball was a product of that hard infield.
You saw his reaction too, pumping the fist into the glove as if to say, I should have made that play. So 34-year-old Ryan Rayburn, who feels like he's been playing against the Sox for years, and he has.
We're going to put to the test that old Sox killer theory here. Is the only time he will be seen by the Sox this year will be here in spring training, unless, of course, a World Series is in order for both of these teams.
Eaton in right on the move into foul ground. Story from second into third, and 2 down runners at the corners for the Rockies.
Pretty decent play by Adam Eaton, because that ball with the wind was moving back toward the field of play. It looked like it was going to be a foul ball, but didn't work out that way. And Adam Eaton not only made a good play, but made a nice throw. Hit the cutoff man perfectly. This ball slicing, as you would expect from a right-hand hitter, and as it drifts, Adam one hops right to the middle of the infield where it's cut off. I think for the most part, the fundamentals of the Sox this spring have been better than they've been in a long time, as Robin and his staff have really concentrated on the executing part of spring training, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, we were talking about it the other day on the backfields, and this was late in spring training to be doing something like this. There was a significant focus on rundowns for the Sox after a couple of errant rundowns the days prior. We've also been working on rundowns in the booth.
Well, the good thing about it is we are trying to peak as we move along through spring training with only 1 game left. I particularly believe that both our arms and our strokes are in mid-season form.
You feel good about the upcoming season?
I feel pretty good about it. I do, only because the team has shown a lot more life, a lot more cohesiveness.
Smoke to left, and the Rockies will be on the board first. Cabrera, nicely done to cut that off before the wall and finish off the Rockies inning. Melky Cabrera ranging into the gap, hauls in the ball off the bat of Hundley, and takes care of out number 3. Rockies get 1 and no more after 1. By purchasing a full and split season ticket plan. Great locations available now. Don't miss out on the live action at U.S. Cellular Field this season. To purchase a full or split season ticket package and to view a full list of all season ticket holder benefits, and they are extensive, visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 today. Stoney, you were talking about the small things in the field for the Sox this spring.
Well, this is an outstanding play because it's easy for this one to get by, and Melky, who's got a strong and most importantly an accurate arm, gets to it and then makes a pinpoint throw, and they get out of the inning. What a great effort as Hundley is gunned down at second base, and despite 3 hits, only 1 run. And that, one of the better defensive plays we've seen this spring.
Melky talking it over with his first baseman teammate, Jose Abreu, as the Sox will go with J.B. Shuck in the 5 spot to lead off the second. Travis Ishikawa was initially listed in the lineup as the DH, and he is, from what we're told by Sox PR, a healthy scratch today. Shuck in the air to right. Gonzalez coming toward the line, and in the corner he's there for round number 1.
Jordan Lyles was acquired by the Colorado Rockies in a trade with Houston for Dexter Fowler, who is the Cubs center fielder. That was on December 3rd of 2013. Lyles, in a couple of years or parts of years with Colorado, 7-4. And last year, 2-5, the ERA a bit higher than he would like in the 10 starts. But just about everybody in that starting lineup has a high earned run average.
Here's Matt Davidson to take strike 1. The Rockies last year, in terms of team ERA, were not very good. 5.04, 30th in Major League Baseball. Davidson gets good lumber on the ball again, and Matt Davidson has hit number 17 of the spring.
It's been a remarkable spring for Matt. He's changed his approach. He's trying to make more contact instead of trying to hit everything 8 miles, which is turning into a pretty good game plan as he's knocking at the door of 400 this spring, and he's done just about everything right. His fielding has improved, and you wonder if he's going to be a victim of the numbers game or if he does have a shot, as it gets a little more difficult as you get down with fewer bodies in camp.
Coming into this spring, as Navarro stands in, Robin Ventura felt like he had basically his roster in mind. He felt like there weren't very many positions in play, but right now, as the team's going to take off for San Diego in just a few days, there are 36 names in Major League camp. 11 have to go.
Well, I think it gets a little tougher as you get down closer to 30. We do know that the addition of Jimmy Rollins has been just a wonderful addition to the ball club, as has Austin Jackson. I mean, a couple of veterans with a world of experience and winning experience can't help but be a benefit.
Deoner Navarro, one of those veterans, 32-year-old catcher who's 9 for 24 this spring.
The added flexibility of being a pretty good switch hitter. And along with Alex Avila, brand new catching core for the Sox, as Lyles tries to hit the outside corner, only to put Navarro aboard.
So 2 on, 1 out for Tyler Saladino, who has nearly half of his hits this spring in the home run column. 9 hits, 4 homers.
Like most ballparks here in Arizona, the dimensions sound a lot larger than the ballpark plays. It's 345 down the left field line, 390 to left center. It's usually around 410 with most ballparks here in Arizona, but these fences are pretty easy to reach, and it really doesn't matter whether it's opposite field or pulling the ball. The Saladino has shown that he can hit them a long way.
You're saying because of the air here, that the ball carries here. Not that they tell you it's 410, but it's actually 390 to center. The distances are accurate.
No, they would never leave you laboring under a misconception like that.
Don't want to have to call the Better Business Bureau.
Right. No humidity, wind usually blowing out. And for whatever reason, this is just a great place to hit, plus a difficult place, especially in spring training, to throw breaking balls or get some depth on the sliders. Consequently, guys have big spring training batting averages, and sometimes clubs get fooled.
Saladino slams it to left, and this ball gets all the way to the wall for the Sox shortstop. Davidson ties the game, touching home. Navarro to third.
That's RBI number 11 for Saladino. He scalded that ball past Rayburn in left field. Lyles tries to get this ball low and in. Doesn't get it quite as low as he would like. And so I believe that would be termed a short-lived lead.
Very short.
Would this be considered a brand new ball game?
We're going to have to check with the idiomatic expression department. There's strike one to Carlos Sanchez. Still no word. I believe they're off for Easter Monday.
Is that what this is?
It is, yeah. Told by our statistician Bill Brophy.
The Easter holiday, of which Bill is certainly an expert at, seemingly went on forever.
Infield in. Navarro's going to test it and score. The Sox get an RBI ground out to the right side of the infield. 2-1.
LeMahieu thought for a moment that he might have a shot as DeHonor came on the ground ball. He was running on contact, and I think had LeMahieu not moved to his left as much as he did, he probably would have tried to come home with that. But even in spring training, you just don't want to open the door to a big inning, and he took the out.
Do you think regular season he comes home with that ball?
I don't think early in the ball game he would have, for the same reason. Moving to his left, if you don't get the runner at home, and again it's a tag play, it's not a force, and you could likely wind up with a big inning.
Tough chopper. McMahon on the charge just gets Eaton, who runs very well down the line. And the Sox are through in the second inning, but they take the lead on a pair of hits, including a Saladino double. 2-1. Diego for the exhibition season, and then 4 in Oakland.
Spring training moved by pretty quickly, and the best part about it is that the Sox, by and large, certainly remained healthy. What I like is the beautiful combination of red and black that Jason and I are wearing today.
It's our roulette wheel look. We just need a third person with a green shirt to simulate 00. Although some might say that we are the zeros anyway.
And that's certainly for the odds for the house.
I'm renting when we get back to Chicago. Ben Paulson scrapes this one on the ground, and Saladino off the shift has out number 1. Sox fans opening day is Friday, April 8th, 3:10 p.m. against the Indians. All fans ages 21 and over get a 2016 White Sox magnetic schedule presented by Miller Lite, the original light pilsner and official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Very, very soon we will be at U.S. Cellular Field with the Hawks fans, the Bulls fans, and by the way, the Sox in Southpaw are going to the Bulls game tonight. Scott Podsednik is going to be there. If you want to see Scotty Pod, check out the Bulls game at the UC this evening.
Southpaw will be substantially bigger
than Scott Podsednik. Slightly greener as well. Up the gap for DJ LeMahieu. He's scooting around second, looking for 3 without a throw. LeMahieu triples.
LeMahieu, who hit .301 last year, former second-round draft pick of the Chicago Cubs before being traded to Colorado. Since coming to the Rockies, he's been very good. Drives this ball, and this one does get by Melky. And before they can corral it, get it back in, he goes all the way to third base, which necessitates the infield in at all 4 positions.
1 out, runner at third, second inning. Strike 1 from John Danks, who has been scored upon for the first time in 3 starts in this game already on the Nick Hundley RBI double in the first.
McMahon with pretty big power, their number 5 rated prospect, and he has been shut out this spring. Looking for his first hit, 12 at bats. But they like him. They think he's a pretty good third baseman. However, if you are a third baseman in the Colorado Rockies organization, it would behoove you to find another position, because Nolan Arenado is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Behind that pitch, 1-2 on McMahon, who comes from Mater Dei High School in California, a very athletic high school historically. Sergio Santos, remember him?
I do.
Matt Leinart, the quarterback, and the other USC quarterback too, Matt Barkley. Both went to the same high school, Mater Dei. Navarro keeps this in front, 2-2 on McMahon.
McMahon looking for contact, and Johnny Danks with the infield in. You're trying to keep the ball down at the very least. If you're going to give up some contact, you want it on a ground ball. If it's not hit at anybody, it's a base hit. You've done your job. But you just as soon no sacrifice flies here.
Also a factor pitcher on deck, Jordan Lyles. Question is, how much of a factor in spring training is the next guy?
Well, also you've only got 1 out, and so it's going to roll around to Blackman if you don't get McMahon.
There is strike 3. Danks fans McMahon, and 2 down.
We've talked about John Danks, and one of the things he does well, most left-handers won't throw their changeup to left-hand hitters. But if it's one of your best pitches, as it is for Danks, then you have to throw it. He did, made a very good pitch, and down goes McMahon.
Similarly to Frazier. Historically,
yes.
Lyles takes strike 1. John Danks, by the way, coming into play today, was tied for 4th in all of baseball with 21 strikeouts this Cactus League spring.
Really, the key for him has been mostly keeping his changeup down. Robin was talking about the variance in fastball and changeup as far as speed is concerned. That's why he doesn't have to throw particularly hard, but you want to get the ideal difference is 11 miles an hour. Most pitchers will shoot for 11-mile-an-hour difference.
Lyles to third. Davidson across the way for out number 3. I want to get your reasoning for exactly 11 miles an hour. We'll do that coming back in the top of the third. Sox the lead 2-1. Jackson Abreu Cabrera on the way. Sticks as we celebrate opening day. Make sure to wear your favorite cap on April 4th and share it on social using hashtag #CapsOn. That's hashtag #CapsOn, like those folks, for a chance to win prizes.
You did say selfie sticks.
Yeah, that was a selfie stick that we saw. You know what that? It's the
yes,
it's a
I
pole.
know. You take a selfie and somebody then whacks you.
You know, you actually take a picture of yourself while listening to "Come Sail Away." And selfie sticks.
And that is a selfie stick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jackson Abreu and Cabrera to bat here in the third. And before we went to break, we were talking about the difference between John Danks and any pitcher's fastball and changeup and velocities as Lyles goes into this third inning. Why 11 miles an hour being the key difference there?
That's what you shoot for. However, it can be, 1 mile an hour perhaps on either side. The reason is that if it's too much slower, you have a guy able to then move forward and come back before he gets a changeup. If it's too much quicker, it's too close to the fastball, and he can be looking fastball and still get a good shot at your change. So they figured out around 11 miles an hour or so, again, not an exact number, but pretty close to it, a guy will not have a chance to adjust, and he can't just get his fastball and then be on your changeup. And so that's what you're shooting for, and John normally has a pretty good changeup, and this spring especially it's been staying down. When he keeps it down, he's very successful. The time he really gets hurt is when he gets it up, and we haven't seen him doing a whole lot of that so far this year. Plus, he talked about his arm side, which is away to right-handers into left-handers. He's having trouble with that. He seems to have overcome that in at least the last 3 starts we've seen.
2 strikes on Austin Jackson. And the pitch low. So if you're a pitcher that's not exactly in that pocket of 11 miles an hour, would you rather have the difference between the two be greater or less? Would you rather miss up or down?
Yeah, I'd rather have it slower, because greater means that most hitters who are always on the fastball, a hitter will tell you, I take the pitcher's fastest pitch and I adjust on down. They will never tell you I'm looking for something soft and I have to adjust up, because then you can't catch up to it. So a little slower as opposed to a little bit harder.
2-2. Tipped foul. Hundley couldn't hang on. Sox will play home for Texas tomorrow. Chris Sale listed as the scheduled starter, so one more look for Sale and Glendale. And then Quintana on Wednesday against Josh Smith. And we will have that game in Goodyear between the Sox and the Cincinnati Reds. Low, 3-2.
Nice check on a good slider down. I think we're at the point now going through the rotation where, in the case of Chris Sale or Jose Quintana, as you look at the check swing, these guys are only going to go maybe 3 innings. You know, they'll pick out a pitch number they want to get to, and it's going to be a very short outing for them.
Jackson tested inside. The first strikeout for Jordan Lyles is one away in the third. Well, Jose Abreu has great memories of his time against the Colorado Rockies. These are his stats adjusted to the Rockies scoring environment in the year 2000. This is a Chris Kampka special. If you took his numbers and inflated them to Colorado-like numbers at Coors Field, he would have hit 50 homers 2 years ago, 39 last year.
And I suppose you probably think 177 runs batted in is good.
My gosh. And yes. A .716 slugging percentage. You put Abreu in Coors Field, and he's a combination of just about every great hitter that you can think up. BaseballReference.com has these great tools, and that's one of them that Chris has used to build that for you. I mean, Abreu is the type of guy that doesn't need any escalators for his stats anyway, but it borders on fantasy when you put it in Coors Field.
Well, the first time he saw Coors Field, I mean, literally, he seemingly tapped the ball to right center field and went out of the ballpark. So although he has very little problem reaching any part of a park, in Coors Field, it can almost be a joke with him.
And you don't even have to dream it up because he's done this at Coors Field. His first 2 career homers came in the same game, April 8th, 2014. This one to left, this one to right center. He only missed the rock pile. 2 homers, 1 game for Abreu at Coors.
And by the way, they are making that fence a little bit higher all the way around, but especially in right center field, trying to give the pitchers some sort of an advantage. One that you're hard pressed to find if you're a Rocky pitcher. The guy who has done well there is Jorge De La Rosa. He's been their #1 guy for quite some time. And Jorge, a good pitcher. Last year, 9-7, his ERA 4.17. It doesn't sound like a great year, but Colorado was not a good team. 4.17 when you have Coors Field as your home park is actually exceptional. But Jorge would probably be, you would term a #3 on a pretty decent staff, and he is their #1 by a wide margin.
Abreu gets a piece of that one and fouls it away. You know, short of moving that field in a subterranean way about 3,000 feet, you're not going to do a whole lot for pitchers.
No. And what they used to do was make the infield very quick instead of growing higher grass in the infield to somewhat slow down the ball. They felt that if they could score enough runs, they could beat people, which has not proven out to be true.
You know, it's amazing. The 2017, you would have thought if there was going to be one team that did it, it might have been the Bichette, Galarraga, Castilla, Larry Walker.
The Blake Street Bombers.
Yeah. Jose Abreu has got to lead the league in foul balls off his body this spring.
Well, he's got quick hands, and guys that try to get down and in on him, if he does foul it, it's going off a part of his anatomy. This off the shoe. You see that shin guard that he has, it does not affect your shoe. I've been wondering for years, I mean pondering,
yeah,
why someone hasn't come out with a huge polyurethane cover off, for hitters to wear off the lead foot, because so many of them foul the ball straight down, and yet we don't see a whole lot of it.
Just a big foot sheath.
Yeah, something to make sure that you don't wind up with a plethora of black toenails.
You handle the marketing on it. I don't think big foot sheath is going to sell a lot of items, so you name it. On pitch number 10, Abreu to McMahon, who throws a little bit of a grenade to first and still gets the out on the scoop from Paulson. 2 down.
Big foot not marketable?
Big foot sheath doesn't
great.
fly off the shelves, I would imagine.
Well, I'm going to think long and hard on this, and before the Wednesday game, I'm going to come out with a brand new name, one that maybe we could market. Of course, we have no product to market, but that being said, a good name is a start.
Well, that's for the engineers in the audience. They can tweet at us if they'd like, at Jason Benetti, at Steve Stone, if you wanted to go into a black hole.
Wait a second. You're calling my clearinghouse in Omaha, where my tweets go, a black hole?
I don't know. It seems like they've been closed for Easter weekend for a couple of weekends. You know, you do have a blue check mark on Twitter, though. Did you know that? You have a blue check mark? You know what that means?
Yes.
Like Pinocchio, you're a real boy.
It means, I believe, a sportscaster, something along those lines. Something that, although you are an excellent sportscaster, I noticed no blue check.
How? How did you know that? You don't even...
Ha ha! I have my sources, Pally. I know you're aspiring to that blue check, and if you work long and hard, I will use all of my influence to have that put next to your name.
3-1 on Melky. And he fists it foul. You know, there's not enough netting at this ballpark, by the way.
You do have to be heads up here. I do know that for sure.
That was close range to us. That might have hit the scribes a couple of booths down. Looks like Dan Hayes and Darryl and the rest are okay. I don't like this. We need more netting. LeMahieu to first, and a 1-2-3 inning. Instead of building your foot sheath, why don't you just bring gloves for us?
I have the hands of a sturgeon. You should be well apprised of that.
Something's fishy here. 2-1 Sox. Welcome back to Scottsdale. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew. Chuck Garfien is here from lovely Chicagoland. And a 2-1 lead for the Sox here in the third, with Charlie Blackmon leading off. You know, we were talking about that foul ball that nearly made its way to some of the The writing types in the press box as Blackmon goes deep to right. Eaton at the wall, and no play for Adam Eaton. We're tied.
Third home run of the spring for Charlie Blackmon. He's now driven in 6. He's got 2 hits today in 2 at-bats against Johnny Danks. He got this one up in the wind and gone as John kept this ball on the inside part of the plate. And Blackmon rode it out of the ballpark. Last year, 17 home runs, 58 driven in.
Really dangerous leadoff hitter type. Some power in the bat, some strong speed as well. As Trevor Story stands in a 2-2 tie. What I was getting at is Major League Baseball has done a great job this offseason of adding to the safety in the ballparks and contributing to those protective nets and suggesting to some of the clubs about having even more netting at the ball yards to keep fans even safer than they are at Major League Baseball games, and a nice initiative from the commissioner.
I think it's one of those things that in the ballparks where they do have some extra netting, it certainly helps to have some extra vigilance, because I think a lot of folks have realized how quickly the ball comes back. Good thing to pay attention.
Trevor Story slams one to left, and Melky Cabrera can only look up. It's back-to-back homers. This one up the berm for Story. 3-2 Rockies.
That's home run number 6. And Trevor Story has driven in 13. So this is a guy the last couple of years starting to discover his power. Last year, a combination of New Britain and Albuquerque, he had 20 home runs. He drove in 80. This spring, he certainly has found the ability to take it way back. And this a no-doubter. First-round draft pick in 2011. 45th player chosen overall for these Rockies.
Still trying to make his way to the major leagues, batting in front of Carlos Gonzalez today, who takes a strike. Out of Irving, Texas, a high school draftee, Trevor Story. Gonzalez, good contact. This is trouble. And gone.
Where in the world is that humidor that the Rockies have in Colorado to take some of the life out of the baseball? Only the 3rd home run of the spring for Cargo. He's now driven in 8. He also with his 2nd base hit of the day, and this one back about 420 feet from home plate. Back to back to back.
What do you do to settle yourself down on the mound after something like that?
You hit the next guy. You don't want to give up 4 in a row. No, actually what you do is realize that, and John does realize this, it's spring training, doesn't count. You're out there to get as much work as you can. You don't really worry about the results. And he knows that he threw a couple of those pitches in really terrible spots, so I don't think this is going to affect him very much. You're just very happy that it is in Arizona and there is no carry forward.
Ryan Rayburn, we said he's a certified White Sox killer. 82 career RBIs against the Sox. That includes 20 home runs out of his career 82 homers against the Sox. And he's going to take first this trip.
When you consider that the next highest RBI total is 25, and nobody can quite figure out why that happens, and it doesn't matter what uniform he's wearing. We saw him a lot with the Tigers. That's where he did most of his work. But when he went to the Indians, he also hit the ball very well against our Sox. So Don Cooper with a couple of words for Johnny Danks. who eliminated 4 straight home runs with a base on balls.
Blackmon, Story, Gonzalez, 3 straight solo homers, and Rayburn the walk to bring up Hundley, the catcher. No relation to Todd and Randy Hundley.
No.
Just happens to be another Hundley family with a catcher. First pitch, a strike from Danks to Hundley, who doubled a run home in the first. Singled a run home in the first and was thrown out at second, I should say. Fouled away by Hundley, who is an alumnus of the University of Arizona in Tucson. Ripped to short. Saladino is on the case. Nice reaction from Tyler. 1 away.
Tomorrow with a playoff spot clinched, the Blackhawks head up to Minnesota where they'll look to win their first over the Wild. Coverage starts tomorrow night at 6:30 with Chicago Blackhawks pregame live on CSN Chicago. Go Hawks.
Playoff chase is on. Danks misses away to Ben Paulson.
Line drive rocket at Tyler Saladino. He goes up to get it, looks to first, but Rayburn was not adventuresome and got back.
Ben Paulson, a former 3rd-round pick of the Rockies out of Clemson in 2009. Double play in order for Danks, and he misses inside 2-1. So what's the difference today for John Danks as opposed to those 2 starts where he held 2 teams scoreless in a row?
Location more than anything else. And John realizing, as most pitchers do, that you got to get ahead of hitters, certainly, and you just as soon get ahead with strikes that you want him to hit instead of mistakes that they want to hit. That's really the biggest difference. The fact that it is a very lively ballpark. In the last couple of starts, he kept the ball in the ballpark, but not so today. 3 home runs in a row from Blackmon, Story, and Gonzalez, and that's allowed the Rockies to take the lead.
That after just 3 homers all spring allowed by Danks prior to this start. Foul for the Rockies bullpen.
There's a few publications before this spring started that said that there's a very good chance that Paulson would have a breakout spring and perhaps a shot at the ball club. That remains to be seen as teams start to eliminate player after player.
Eaton a dive and right, and Adam Eaton hauls in out number 2. Strong reaction by Eaton moving toward the line.
Paulson hits this one-handed, and Adam Eaton over to make the play. Gets it back in before Rayburn can think about going to second base. Nice effort by Adam, who's learning how to play right and left field both and doing a pretty good job of it.
Two down for LeMahieu. You know, fans listening that have not played the outfield might say, well, what's the difference between right field and left field? How do you have to learn them separately?
Well, you have to understand, number one, that the ball is always going to move toward the line. Whether it's a left-hander, let's say you're in left field, left-hand hitter, the ball's going to slice away from you without a whole lot on it. Right-hand hitter to left field, the ball is going to hook toward the line. So they're both going to go to the line, but they're going to go, and it's going to come off the bat differently. You've got to learn how to do that. Right field, conversely, the left-handers are going to hook it toward the line. The right-handers will slice it toward the line. And the ball just comes at you very much differently than center. Center field, for the most part, if you have the speed, is the easiest position to play in the outfield because you're looking right at the hitter, you're looking at the catcher, you're seeing where the ball comes in. You get a much better jump on the ball, and they'll tell you that with the speed, if you don't have speed, you can't play center field in the major leagues, but with the speed, center field will give you your best reads.
Strike 3 called for Danks, and that'll do it for the Rockies, who are 86, but not before 3 home runs in a row. Blackman, Story, Gonzalez give the Rocks a 4-2 lead. Now's Auto Park. Sox trailing, but not because of the lack of fan support here today. Some good Sox fans with some old and new shirts.
Lots of Sox fans at the ballpark. In fact, it's a pretty nice crowd for an Easter Monday.
You're paraphrasing Billy Joel. Pretty good crowd for a Saturday.
No.
No, you're not?
No. I'm boycotting Piano Man.
Why?
Well, it was sad and sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. And I don't want to give him back those clothes.
Why don't you wear your own? JB Shuck lays down a bunt, and it rolls foul.
JB can do a whole lot of things, and he was a late insertion into this lineup.
Yeah, some Sox fans are saying, well, who is going to play DH this season? Who do you think the candidates are?
Well, number one, I'd like to see who they keep on the ball club, but it will be a revolving designated hitter. They won't have one guy specifically who's going to be there. It's going to depend a lot on who's going to the mound and how Robin likes the matchup. And I think it gives him a lot more flexibility with the configuration of this year's team.
Well, that's one of the spots that, or maybe even two of the spots, Robin Ventura has been mulling over, is who's going to be on this Sox bench. We know that the two shortstops are very, very likely both going to come to Chicago, barring, some disaster or uncertain situation. Shuck to shortstop and Story for round number 1.
not many mysteries left as to who's going to secure what spots, but I'm sure that Robin has a pretty good idea who's going to be here, just not talking about it definitively quite yet.
One down for Davidson, who you would imagine, I mean, he's still in Major League camp right now, 3 days before they break camp, or at least 3 games before they break camp. You would imagine he's at least in the discussions of people who have had good springs that you can think about helping the club, whether it's now or at some point in the course of the year.
But there's a couple decisions when you look at Matt Davidson and you try to figure out how he projects.
With some power here, Davidson to right. And Davidson gets it up and out of here. Gonzalez looked like he might have a play at first, and that was not the case. The Sox cut into the lead with Davidson's 5th home run.
8th run driven in, and you can tell this young man has made some major adjustments. That was a slider that didn't slide. Matt is very strong and takes this ball the opposite way. It gets up in the wind. Gonzalez at first turned on it and then just looked up. And the schools of thought on Matt Davidson are this: could he help the major league team? Perhaps. Has he ever been a part-time player who was asked to hit off the bench? No. Is he young enough with enough promise to say you'd like him to get every day at bats? Yes. But the question will be, if they believe Matt Davidson can help the major league team, if they believe he can hit off the bench, which is not an easy thing to do, and usually it's only veterans who do that, who have a history of success behind them, then he will get his opportunity now. Otherwise, he will wait, and I think they're thinking about flexibility with him because, quite obviously, with Todd Frazier at third, that position is well secured. Of course, you do have Abreu at first also.
Davidson's played a little bit of shortstop, but a very little bit. We're talking single-digit games at shortstop. The counter argument is, if he's hitting the ball so well in spring, why not take it while he's hot and bring him to the club and let him do whatever he needs to do, pinch hitter or whatever it might be? That's just the counter argument. 2 down on the ground ball to Paulson.
There's a lot of different things that enter into that process. One is, does he have options? The answer to that is yes. When he would secure a spot, someone won't be able to secure a spot, and does that person have options? Will you lose somebody you don't necessarily want to lose? And if you view down the road that Matt Davidson is going to be an everyday player, do you want him to get the at-bats? Again, fortunately, a problem that you and I don't have to deal with, but things that general managers and vice presidents have to deal with all the time when you decide who's going to make the team and who's going to go back.
2 out, nobody on, 1 in for Tyler Saladino, who doubled home a run in the 2nd inning. Well, they've got a couple days to play around with all the different permutations for the Sox roster in those last couple of roster spots. Travis Ishikawa had a big game yesterday against his former team. He drove in 5, nearly hit for the cycle. J.B. Shuck in the lineup today. There are a bunch of outfielders that you could essentially rotate as a DH too. Saladino again ropes a ball. He's 2 for 2. Saladino gunning it for second with the bobble out in left center, and he's in there.
Now we'll have to see if it's a 2-base hit or if Ryan Rayburn is going to pick up E7. Saladino, a heads-up player with very good speed. He's taking a look at that one all the way, and when it's not handled cleanly, he just takes off. You can't do this if you don't hustle down the line, and as you see, Tyler did come out of the box thinking about a 2-base hit, waiting to see if Rayburn does play the ball. And it goes single E7. He never hesitates once he sees the ball is bobbled, easily sliding into second base.
Carlos Sanchez triggers this one deep to right field, and my goodness, as the offense erupted today, the Sox get a 2-run shot from Sanchez and retake the lead. He is the 20th Sox player to homer this spring. Can you take them all?
Yes. A power resurgence for a team that didn't hit the ball out of the park very well last spring. Certainly didn't hit it out of the park at all during the season. And the wind blowing out affected that one, but it was also hit awfully hard.
Adam Eaton takes a strike. How about this? The Sox have 5 runs today, and all of them have been scored by 6 or lower in the lineup.
Well, had Robin known that, he would have reversed the lineup.
Yeah, come on, Skip. Adam Eaton to right. And Gonzalez has this one stalked to retire the side. Sox get 2 homers, though. Matt Davidson, a solo shot. Carlos Sanchez, a 2-run home run. Sox lead it again, 5-4. Or even host a business function in a Diamond Suite at a White Sox game. Diamond Suites can accommodate groups from 10 to 100 guests, and single game packages include a great food menu as well as beverages and parking passes. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/group.
The Rockies, no strangers to losing to left-handers. And it still is relatively early, but they're trailing this one. Last year, left-handed starters, the Rockies 11-32 when a left-hander went to the mound.
The left-handed group was not invited to the ballpark by the Rockies, that's for sure. That's not the group outing they were looking for. By the way, we were looking during the break at some of the beautiful foliage here in Arizona.
It's really nice. It is, because it's been so hot so early here, the allergies have been plaguing just about everybody.
If I were one of the 7 dwarfs while we've been down here,
you would be sneezy.
I was going to go with Dopey.
Well, that too.
But what is that plant there, botanist Steve Stone?
That's an allergy plant.
Called strike 3. Diggs with his 3rd punch out, 2nd of McMahon.
We're informed that that is a Palo Verde tree.
Don in audio evidently has gone to the botanical gardens recently.
He is right on that.
One down for the pitcher's spot, and Lyles, who takes strike 1. John Danks 7th in Sox career strikeouts, with Chris Sale bearing down on him.
It's pretty amazing, but Johnny Danks, the longest of the White Sox, the longest with the ball club of the White Sox.
We had talked about this the other day. It seems like even to John Danks just recently, he was the guy that was learning from the John Garlands and the Mark Burleys of the world, and now he's the elder statesman, as he's got strikeout number 4 and a quick 2 out here in the 4th.
You're looking for a pretty good bounce back inning, because he had some problems in the first, a triple that he pitched around in the second, and 3 home runs in a row in the third. A good changeup on the outside part of the plate, and Lyle's a strikeout victim.
"66 pitches for John Danks. And he faces Blackmon, who's 2 for 2 against him. Top of the card, top 3 of Blackmon, Story, and Gonzalez. Combined 5 for 6 for the Rockies this afternoon.
Surprising, because Blackmon and Gonzalez, left-hand hitters, and left-handers have done very little this spring, but not so today.
Up the middle for a 2-out single for Charlie Blackmon.
Johnny Danks got here in a deal with the Texas Rangers. He was a first-round draft pick, a 9th overall by the Rangers, and then here he came and surfaced in the major leagues in 2007. So this has been certainly a great experience for him with the guys that he had to learn from, and now he's trying to impart that wisdom to some of the younger players. I think it's probably gone very fast for him.
Here is Story. 1 on, 2 out. We have a jovial interloper here in the booth who will join us in the 5th inning. Our Dan Hayes has stopped by, doing some intrepid reportage today in the clubhouse. He will share his news and notes and nuggets coming up in the 5th inning. CSN insider Dan Hayes.
Did you tell him that he didn't necessarily have to dress up for this particular occasion?
That is unspoken with Dan. We have an understanding.
Yes. No, honestly, it looks terrific. A lot of people go for that flood victim look. Nice that you've adopted that.
Have you ever heard the phrase dripping with sincerity? I'm going to guess no. 1-1 from Danks. Shank foul by Story. Rockies staff raconteur Trevor Story.
He's been pretty good this spring.
Including a homer last inning. Part of 3 in a row for the Rockies. On 1 and 2. In the dirt, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Some huge power numbers for Story, and he's knocking at the door of hitting 400. At the moment, 386, 6 and 13 on the power numbers.
Big spring for a guy trying to make the majors for his first extended time. Eaton and Wright has a play, and this one stays in the ballpark for the Sox right fielder. Inning over, Blackmon 2-out single, no harm done. We go to the 5th. Sox by 1. insider Dan Hayes. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate you being here.
I made some time in my schedule today, so.
Amazing.
Yeah, Alex Avila.
He's a big news today. Alex Avila, we told you the other day he was out with a back injury. That seems to have subsided, and it might be normal for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He mentioned that he goes through this process every year as he gets into baseball shape, that, you know, his body gets a little sore. It's 4 months without doing anything. You can't replicate getting down behind the catcher or down on the catching position for a couple hours. So he expects this, and he knew it right away early on Sunday. He said that it grabbed during that at bat, and it was precautionary. He came back yesterday, gave us one of these. We knew he was in good shape, and today he actually did a little workout in the cage. Robin Ventura said he'll be in the lineup tomorrow.
So that's good news. And reading what you had reported about Alex Avila, he said this is actually better than it's been in normal years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He said he's a little hunchback normally. So we did not see him kind of motoring around, and he was doing good. But he, at the same time, you know, he knows he has to watch out for it because this is his 7th year, and it's something that he knows to kind of monitor every spring.
And tell us a little bit about Travis Ishikawa, who was in the lineup originally, only then to be replaced by J.B. Shuck.
He sounds like a little bit of confusion there. Really, he is here. They sent his bag over today, but he also stays on this side of the valley, so he's not in there in the morning. And he's here at the park, but the plan, I guess, all along was he played Saturday, he played Sunday, so today was the day off. And that's about all we got on that one. But he is healthy. That's not an issue, and he is definitely one of those guys that we've seen, along with Matt Davidson, along with J.B. Shuck, Carlos Sanchez, and I know I'm forgetting one. Oh, Jerry Sands here in the spots. The 5 guys battling for those last 2 spots.
2-2 on Austin Jackson. We're joined by Dan Hayes, CSN insider. How are you holding up, by the way? Camp's long for reporters, too.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, coffee is good. Let's say that.
How about that?
And San Diego will be a nice little vacation there at the end of the spring.
Yeah, tough to go to paradise early in the season. 3-2 on Jackson.
This has been an excellent spring as far as the White Sox are concerned, because almost without exception, it's been a very healthy year for them. You don't have any Chris Sale problems like last year, which stopped him really from having a spring training and necessitated that his spring training came during the season.
They've been able to focus on the work. That's one thing that we've heard a lot, is the quality of work that they've put out. And it's funny, I'm writing about that for later this week. Guys have mentioned quality of work that they've put in all spring. And
quality at bat from Austin Jackson, and he shoots this one foul.
And they feel good about what they have put forth and the reps, especially on the infield. They're very satisfied with the defense. You know, they're not saying it's going to be the Kansas City Royals, but they feel like they've improved over a team that was last or close to last in a lot of categories last year.
It's good news for the skipper, Robin Ventura. 3-2 on Jackson. We're joined by Dan Hayes, who you can follow on Twitter at CSN Hayes. Does a great job covering the Sox all spring training long throughout the season. Pitch number 10 to Austin Jackson. And he will see an 11th. How close was that foul ball to you reporters?
Actually, we were in the clear.
You were?
I did duck. I hit the anytime it's headed up there. I've been hit a few times in my career, so yeah. I wear a batter's helmet in the press box, actually.
That is, it's the John Olerud writer look.
That would be a good look.
3-2, and strike 3 as Lyles took something off. Second strikeout for Lyles of Jackson.
Yeah, I caught.
Hey, there's Chuck Garfien. Can you get him and Bruce Levine a helmet there? I mean,
safety first.
Actually, just one helmet. Let them share it, pitch to pitch, depending on righty or left-hander.
Chuck would put his popcorn in it. From what we saw earlier, it would just be a helmet full of popcorn. Big swing by Abreu, 0-1.
Has there been any surprises to you this spring?
I think, you know, the people have been very happy with the way Matt Davidson has swung the bat.
Yeah, very well.
You know, he definitely has found a way to get to his power. eat more easily, and you can see it. And he's shown more of a hit tool here than he has in the past. And I think that is a surprising development given the way the last 2 seasons have gone for him at Charlotte. You talk to scouts around, and they're pleased. I think that's definitely something that he's worked on. And Todd Steverson said that it's something that took time for him to develop that and find it. And it basically was him realizing, all right, this is what they've been talking about. Now I need to do it. And Matt Davidson said he swung the bat all but 3 days this offseason and really worked on it and has a routine that he likes to stick to. And Steverson's been pretty pleased with it.
Jose Abreu with a blast to left center, and this ball is off the wall for Abreu. Such easy, effortless power.
I'm not sure how that one stayed in the park. It looked like he got every bit of it as Lyles tried to get the ball inside. Tough to do that. Abreu can bring his hands in, still get the good part of the bat on the ball, as this one does stay in the park. And Jose coasting to second base with his second hit of the afternoon.
Dan, have you got a chance to walk around this ballpark and see some of the sights?
Absolutely. It's actually one of my favorite ones in the Cactus League. It's just nicely constructed. The Wi-Fi leaves a little to be desired. But aside from that, it's a great park.
That is #1 on the beat writer list, right? On the reporter list.
Might as well say
how's the Wi-Fi?
It is. It is.
That's why I heard that's why Scott Merkin didn't come today. Is that right?
It's possible.
That and Easter Monday for Merck.
Outside, 2 balls and no strikes on Melky Cabrera.
Well, Merck did, to be fair, he did play 3 straight days, so they gave him a breather, and now he's
thought maybe too many marshmallow peeps, and he just decided to sleep in today. 2-0. Cabrera fouls it away.
You had a good look at this ballpark, which is shared by the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. The Diamondbacks hoping to get some sort of an adjustment in their ballpark downtown. They were talking about some changes they would like to see made. And I think the folks here in Phoenix are going to see a better Diamondback team than they've had quite some time.
To left, and Rayburn doesn't have a play.
As Tony La Russa named to revamp that ball club, has seen some really pleasant changes. And one of the things they did in getting Zach Greinke, you diminish the chances of their rival, the Dodgers, and increase their chances.
2 Castros loosening in the Colorado pen.
Yeah, we just saw that a little bit ago on that trip.
Now 3-2 on Melky. And Tony La Russa, by the way, who signed our booth wall.
He did that
here today.
And
no, he didn't do it today, but it's signed.
And I believe that you should join that parade up there of memorables.
Cabrera bouncing ball, a little mishandled by LeMahieu, and safe. Melky beat it out. Sox have runners at the corners and 1 down. I think Dan Hayes should sign the booth wall on the way out here. You have a Sharpie?
You know what? I left it at home.
You did.
I'll do it pencil.
It's with Merck.
This is going to go as a base hit. LeMahieu on the backhand and can't secure it. By the time he does, Melky able to beat it. And so a trip to the mound.
We'll see if that'll do it for Lyles or how soon he will come out of the ballgame. Dan Hayes, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
CSN insider Dan Hayes. You can follow him at CSN Hayes. He is a wonderful follow for Sox news and notes and information. And the Sox lead at 5-4 here in the 5th, Stoney. Did you have your stopwatch on that meeting at the mound? Was that 30 seconds or less?
I had it right at 28 1/3 seconds. Giving the Castros a chance to get looser.
So 2 on, 1 out for J.B. Shuck. who flied out to right, popped out to short. I don't know if it was good news or bad news for J.B. Shuck that he was inserted in this lineup, because he was originally scheduled to join us in the 3rd inning, and I know how he loves being on with us from downstairs. So he lost out on that opportunity and did get to play today. So I think it's a wash.
This most likely has saved his career.
Runners off, Shuck bouncing ball, and that gets the Sox a run. Could have been a double play. Instead, Cabrera was in motion. Abreu scores. Nicely done. 6-4.
Nice call by Robin, as the motion keeps the inning alive and the run scores. As you can see, Hundley was moving out to try to make that throw to second base, and on the hard hit ball that would have been an easy 2. Instead, it goes as a run batted in for Shuck. And we'll see how much longer Jordan Lyles is in this game. I wouldn't think too many more pitches, as the pitching coach Stephen Foster was out there. I know you like his music.
Wonderful
he certainly
writer,
is a good pitching coach. Coaching experience, he's in his 19th year.
Yeah, I think Sondheim was a big baseball fan.
I remember Foster from his days with the Cincinnati Reds.
Matt Davidson continues to plug along. Cabrera waved around. No play at the plate. Sox get another. Davidson plates Cabrera. 7-4.
Well, Matt Davidson 3 for 3 with a home run, a couple driven in. He stays right on it, takes it right back up the middle. Lyles trying to get that fastball inside. That's going to be it for him, as Walt Weiss is going to come out and make the change.
Talk about small things. The Sox use the hit and run, stay out of the double play, and get at least 2 runs out of it in the inning. 7-4 as we stay in the top of the 5th.
The Hawks at the United Center. That's starting at 6:30 and streaming live at csnchicago.com or on the NBC Sports Live Extra app. Brought to you by Xfinity. So we got a new pitcher coming into this one, and it is Simon Castro. In 6 games this spring, he's given up nothing. They have 2 Castros, the other Miguel Castro, both of them very big right-handers.
Now, live arm, 727 strikeouts and 778 minor league innings for Simon Castro, who faces Deoner Navarro in the 5th. again, if there's going to be an issue this year for the Rockies, it would likely be the pitching. Last in baseball last year with an ERA above 5. And the Sox have touched him up for runs in the 2nd, 4th, and 5th this afternoon. The Rockies franchise ERA, dating all the way back to the early 90s, is 5.01. It seems high.
Well, because
maybe
of
even
that,
higher than you'd expect.
the mile-high ERA, as it were. I think, quite obviously, one of the reasons is a couple of different approaches to what to do with pitching. There's been different incarnations of pitching plans. One I remember was stock the bullpen, which with as many really quality relievers as you can, let the starters go as short as they will. Then one time they decided to spend a lot of money on Denny Nagel and Dan Hampton, a couple of left-handed starters.
Mike Hampton.
Mike Hampton, rather, excuse me. Yeah, Dan wouldn't have been too good.
Big guy on the mound, though.
You're not kidding.
Navarro the ground out. Castro finishes the inning. And we are halfway home with the Sox leading 7-4 over the Rockies.
Injuries, but as you can see, the Los Angeles Dodgers have really been hit by the injury bug. So here are a few notables. A.J. Pollock, fine center fielder from the Diamondbacks, has an elbow problem. Cameron Maybin with a broken wrist. C.J. Wilson, that's a big blow to the Angels because he's going to be out for some time. Same thing with Brett Anderson, Andre Ethier, Yasmani Grandal, Howie Kendrick, all with the Dodgers. Reimer Liriano hitting the face. He's going to have surgery. So there are some teams that have had substantial injuries. Fortunately, the Sox not on that list.
Yeah, a very healthy spring, and the superstitious folks are saying, well, don't say that.
Oh.
Somebody's got that. The way it's gone for the Sox in years past is you could say just about anything, and the Sox are going to be pretty well healthy under the direction of Herm Schneider and his crew. 1-1 on Gonzalez. The other one that's just popped up today is the Matt Harvey non-disclosed injury issue, non-arm but non-disclosed injury issue for the Mets, and he looks like he is questionable for his opening day start.
Yeah, he visited a doctor in Florida, so it has not been disclosed exactly what's wrong with him, but anything that affects Matt Harvey is big news for the Mets, and not particularly good news because that team will live or die with that very talented pitching staff, of which Harvey is at or near the top by acclamation.
And they're going to get Zach Wheeler back at some point this season. Don't know when as yet. On 2-2, Gonzalez goes after one for strike three. And we told you about the Rockies and their success offensively. This is the list. Galarraga won a batting title in '93. Walker 3 times. Todd Helton, the former Tennessee quarterback. Cargo there at 336. That is not a statistical anomaly, folks. You go to Colorado and you hit the ball well.
Michael Kadire went there and won a batting title after years with the Minnesota Twins. He was always a good hitter. He went there, and Coors Field inflated those numbers, although Kadire's still a very good player, but you never associated him with a batting title.
That's 9 total batting titles in 23 years for the Rockies.
And Larry Walker, 4 of 5 seasons hit 350 or above. Now, Walker was a great player, but like so many of the other Rocky hitters, taking advantage of the elements at home.
Up and out to Ryan Rayburn. 2 balls and a strike to the former Tiger outfielder who was just signed by the Rockies early this month. Only been here for about 4 weeks. What? So say the Rockies exist when you play.
Yes.
What's your plan?
I wouldn't have gone there as a free agent.
You would have maybe not even gone there as a player. You just don't take the charter. Ground ball to Davidson. Got him. Bang, bang play at first, and Matt Davidson gets the better of Rayburn.
That's one of the aspects of the game of Matt Davidson that's really improved, and that's been the defense. Doesn't have a whole lot of time, but he had to catch it cleanly, as this one just bounding over the head of Danks. Normally when that happens, you think about a base hit, but then again, Ryan Rayburn, not the fastest man around. However, it took a very good play to nail him by a half step at first base.
A good call.
My game plan for what exactly with the Rockies?
Well, you go there and pitch.
Yes.
Do you shelve your curveball? What do you do?
I come up with a sore arm and let somebody else pitch.
Sounds like the easy way out. To left. And that'll do it. Chivalry's not dead. 1-2-3 inning for John Danks. 7-4 after 5. Game fans 13 and under can join the White Sox Kids Club for special Kids Club giveaways, free White Sox tickets, and exclusive events. Head to whitesox.com/kidsclub today to join.
And the other of the two warming Castros comes into the ballgame. This is Miguel Castro, who last year was in the major leagues with Toronto for 13 games. And there you look at the numbers this spring, on for the 7th time. An even 3 in the ERA. Has been asked to save a couple of games and was successful. The reason why it would have been difficult for me to throw at Coors Field was because I was a high fastball pitcher. I did not have a sinker, and so I threw fly balls. And throwing fly balls in that ballpark is not really healthy for one's ERA or success. So yeah, you're talking about a guy who gave up 5 home runs in 2 1/3 at Wrigley Field. It would have been substantially worse at Coors Field.
Yeah, but when you were going well,
yes,
in your Cy Young season,
yes,
don't you think you could have translated that to some place like Coors Field?
Well, I was going well because I didn't have to pitch at Coors Field in the American League.
And you were what, 13 years before the establishment of the team?
In the neighborhood of that, yes. Much to my delight.
You didn't even know why you were happy then, but it turns out it was because the Rockies had not yet existed.
No, but I did feel that there was going to be expansion, and it seemed to me like Denver would be one of the natural places to expand to, because they did have pretty substantial baseball fandom in that city.
It's a AAA city for a long while.
The Denver Bears. And for a long time, they were very much a Cubs city until the Rockies came into play. And of course, they were so exciting offensively to start with that they captured the fancy of their fans, which they held for a while, only to see it dissipate as things kind of dropped off.
Big bounce to Story at shortstop, and Saladino's counterpart gets rid of the Sox shortstop. One away.
The Rockies trying as hard as they can to rebuild from within. Having gone out, spent some money on free agents over the years, only to see it not work out as they would like to have it work out. There you look at Walt Weiss, the manager of this team. He has survived the changeover in front office personnel.
As I recall, he was the 1988 Rookie of the Year in the American League.
Walt Weiss was a very good player.
Out of Suffern High School in New York. By the way, second place in the Rookie of the Year voting that year to Walt Weiss was very talented pitcher Brian Harvey. Sanchez, who's already got a homer today, bids for right field. And this ball comes down in the glove of Gonzalez off the ricochet. Carlos Sanchez with another extra base hit, and they're going to say that it got out.
Because of the bullpen and the configuration of the ballpark at that point, once it makes it over the top of the bullpen, it is considered a home run. And so that low fastball inside, and the second home run of the day, the second home run of the spring, there you see it goes over that line, considered a home run, and one of the ground rules in this ballpark. And Sanchez, for the first time in quite some time, I believe, with 2 home runs.
That was Sam Hilliard in right, who's come in for Carlos Gonzalez. But no matter, second home run for Sanchez in the game. And the ground ball that time from Eaton, 2 away.
New general manager here is Jeff Bridich, who took over from Bill Guyvette. Things fairly deteriorated with Guyvette, and they decided they wanted to move in a different direction. Guyvette had some unusual ideas, like stopping his pitchers from throwing curveballs, which is not a particularly good plan, even in the Mile High City. And they are raising some good young kids through the system.
Two down for Austin Jackson, who is 0 for 3 today with a couple of strikeouts and a fly out to center.
Once again, as we've seen a lot of this spring, some thunder in the lineup today, only coming from not an unusual source in Davidson, but certainly an unusual source in Carlos Sanchez.
His first 2 homers of the spring in now 53 at bats.
That also gives him 4 of the 8 runs batted in.
526 minor league games for Carlos Sanchez, 12 home runs.
So odds are overwhelming. He doesn't hit 2 in the same game very often.
Doesn't happen a whole bunch. Now 3-2 on Jackson. Well, Abreu crushed a ball last time that we were both surprised didn't get out of here. As Jackson goes down swinging, 3rd strikeout today for him, and the Sox get another on the 2nd homer for Carlos Sanchez, building the lead to 8-4 in Scottsdale. We asked Steve Stone what he did with his life. Steve, how'd you do against Don Baylor in your career, the first ever Rockies manager?
I don't think particularly well. I can remember a couple of home runs in one game against me, and 2 of the 3 came in one game. 6 runs batted in. 8 for 26, that's pretty good. And Don was one of those guys, although he got hit a lot, you didn't like to throw at him or let him believe that you were throwing at him. He was a very big man with pretty decent speed, and it would have been so embarrassing to watch him chase me around the infield if he charged them out.
So you pitched him away for most of the time? Is that what you're saying?
He was really strong.
Strongest guy you've ever faced? Who was it?
Frank Howard.
Yeah. Boy, still a big guy.
I was going to say, he was probably the strongest guy that a lot of people faced.
Even later in life, you see him and just this massive guy comes into view.
Frank was 6'7", weighed about 3 1/4 during his playing days.
Just missed outside, 1-2 as John Danks has come out for the 6th.
A couple of rocky innings.
No pun intended.
Well, they were rocky innings with 3 home runs in the 3rd. And that one yanked down the line, foul. But since Don Cooper made his trip to the mound. That was after the base on balls, which came after the 3 home runs. John has only given up 1 hit since then, so good pitching coaches will settle you down. Tell you something like, don't worry about it, this one doesn't matter very much, and get your work in. That takes a little pressure off.
Does the pressure even mount when you get into the rabbit hole a little bit mentally in spring training? Is there pressure that you put on yourself?
It's not so much in John Danks' case because he's going to be a starting pitcher. You just don't want to give up 3 in a row anytime.
Austin Jackson moseys to his left for out number 1. Join us for opening weekend at U.S. Cellular Field. First 20,000 fans Saturday, April 9th. Get a White Sox winter hat presented by Comcast Sportsnet. Visit whitesox.com to purchase your tickets today. Those are beauts.
They are indeed good looking, and I can't wait to be able to sell you a couple of those. By the way, our crew, who moonlights when they're not working with us, and it is a crack crew at that, they were there for the Bee Fest.
They were, yes.
That was the Cub game yesterday.
Over at the Mesa Apiary.
Jason Hayward got bit 10 times.
Saladino gets to the forehand side, and Abreu chases down LeMahieu. Abreu on LeMahieu, 2 away.
One thing that base runners don't like is when they see the first baseman shift in their path as they're going down the line. Last thing you want is an ear burger here late in the spring, and it looked like DJ LeMahieu was on target to get one, only to avoid the errant throw by Tyler Saladino.
Especially a big dude like Abreu.
That's
you
true.
do not want that as the blockade. Strike 1 to McMahon. This was just yesterday. Duck, cover, blankets, hats, please leave. Ground ball to first, and that will do it for the inning. Hayward was a mess. He tweeted a picture this morning of himself, and it was rather yuck. 8-4 Sox after 6.
Catch the Sox last game here in the desert as they battle the Reds in preparation for the season opener. That's starting Wednesday at 3 on CSN Chicago, brought to you by Canals Auto Park.
I can't believe it's almost over. I'm floored.
That will be our 10th and final game of the spring.
And a new Rockies pitcher.
Gonzalez Herman. Or number of other pronunciations, one being German, which would be wrong. So we'll call it Irman. Joey Wong in the game at shortstop. We've been waiting for him.
I thought, you know, with that alternate pronunciation, that turned into a Rocky and Bullwinkle upcoming episode.
Irman?
Sort of thing. Well, you said, or.
I mean,
they used to do that. They used to give you one option and then the other.
Yes. But.
But's normally followed by something else.
How about. Strange that Irman would be in the game this late. Don't know why, but we'll check it out. He's not there. I got to check on a different list.
He's not on your list?
Not on that list.
He's on the other list.
As Nate Jones starts loosening in a pen. Nate throwing the ball very well this spring. I talked with him. He said he's pretty happy so far how everything has gone. You don't look for numbers in the spring. You look for the feeling that you get when the ball leaves your hand.
Abreu, talk about leaving. This one's leaving the park. My goodness.
There's something about that Rocky uniform that certainly brings out the best in Jose. That one was about as far as you can possibly hit it. His third hit of the day, his fourth home run, his fifth run batted in. And that's about as far as they go here. We thought he had a home run last time. This sinker drifting inside. Welcome to the game, Gonzalez Irman. Take that blast.
Again, that's the most impressive thing for me as somebody who's just getting to see Jose Abreu in person over and over again for the first time. It is so easy for him to put that much onto a baseball. This spring and last spring combined, Abreu is 51 out of 111. That's 459. Got inside on Cabrera, who launches it to right, and Hilliard for out number one. Sox have 4 homers in the game, Abreu and Davidson, and then 2 from Carlos Sanchez.
Been a very explosive spring down here. And Gonzalez Irman coming over from the Chicago Cubs, where he spent part of last season. Claimed off waivers on July 7th of last year.
J.B. Shuck testing the gap in right center. And he's got a double with 1 out.
That's JB's first hit, but he does have a run batted in, that coming on a ground ball in the 5th inning.
You were discussing the claim on waivers of the Rockies pitcher currently. This is around the time when guys are going to be taken off the 40-man roster or optioned or whatever it might be. So for those folks at home that don't understand the waiver process, we talked about it briefly the other day. When somebody's put on waivers, what's the responsibility of his club and all the rest of the clubs? What does that do to him, for him?
Well, normally when you're put on waivers, you're exposed to a claim by every other ball club in the major leagues, and it goes from the bottom up. So if you're in the National League, put on waivers, the worst team in the National League will have an opportunity to pick you, going to the best. Same thing then being said in the American League. If you completely clear waivers and nobody picks you up, as that one rifled down the line and just missed. As Davidson continues to scald the ball, he's got 3 hits, including a home run and a couple driven in.
Scored twice as well.
But if you clear waivers, then you can be sent to the minor leagues and you stay with the ball club. For those who will be on the 40-man roster, you obviously then still belong to the club. They can protect you. And apparently what the Cubs were trying to do was they were trying to clear a roster spot. They probably wanted to add somebody to their 40-man, dropping Herman from their 40-man, and had to pass him through waivers. And the Rockies, who perpetually need some pitching help, decided he would be okay to take a shot, and he did very well with them. 3.86 ERA in 32 2/3 innings. That's not bad.
Essentially, it's a protected spot with the team that you're on. When you're on the 40-man roster, you're essentially protected from everybody else, and you're protected from being, maybe not arbitrarily, but sent down to the minors whenever they want to. And there are a lot of reasons to want to be on the 40-man roster, including financial reasons. On the Davidson strikeout, he's now 3 out of 4. And Navarro, who walked and scored his first time. Matt Davidson, as we talked about, may not make this club, but he has done everything you can ask of him to come to spring training to make the club. That's not to say he should or quote-unquote deserves to make the club, right?
Well,
but he did everything that he could.
When he was acquired from the Diamondbacks, this was the kind of potential the Sox saw in him when they got him in the first place. And then he had a couple of very disappointing years for him and decided that things had to change, and things have changed substantially. And so I think showing the kind of ability that he had when the Sox got him originally, for him, I'd have to believe that he would consider this a very successful spring, whether he makes the ball club or not.
Favorable as well is the fact that he can tell you why it's changed. It's not just been a statistical anomaly or something like that. He's got reasons in his batting stance and in his hands to show what has changed, as Navarro is on with 2 out. And Davidson, to wrap that, has been very honest. I mean, he said, look, I was terrible at the plate the last couple of years, just terrible. I had to look to my defense to have those big moments in a game, which was a complete 180 from when he got into professional baseball. So 2 on, 2 out, and Saladino's spot in the 8th position. Inside, ball 1. Sox have scored in each of the last 4 innings. Saladino left center, and Daza ranging over to make the catch. Sox do get a run on the Jose Abreu blast to lead off the inning. The lead advances to 9-4 Sox. Steve Stone, and take this opportunity to let you all know that, you know, you've been watching our spring training telecasts, and maybe you've seen some of the other baseball telecasts as well on CSN Chicago. And our crew has done all of those games. Jim Angio, Bill Brophy, Chris Kamka, Michelle Godwin. Everybody that's been dealing with our games has been dealing with all the other games too, and they've just worked their tails off. So a great thank you to them for putting together some fantastic spring training baseball for us and for you back in Chicago.
And boy, will they be happy to see us leave, because that means they're going to get a rare day off, but they've done a terrific job. I agree with you. These guys are great. They make our job a whole lot easier than it would ordinarily be. And just keeping up with the changes in spring training it's a never-ending task, because the guys come in and out, many of them not on rosters. You don't know who they are at times. Sometimes you'll have 3 number 86s in the same game. Such is spring training.
And we need to 86 that from spring training. Here's Nate Jones into the game for the Sox.
Funny you should mention Nate Jones, because there he is.
That's what we call a segue.
Right. On for the 7th time, and he's given up nothing. When Nate is healthy, and hopefully he will remain that way throughout this season, he is a huge presence in the bullpen. His stuff is overwhelming. Both a fastball and an unhittable slider. And we've seen the best of it this spring. That's why we told you last inning that he was very happy with everything that's happened so far. Prime getting in at bat. And John feels like he hasn't thrown quite enough pitches, so he wants to work a little bit. And he's still working in the pen.
Stoney, this is Joey Wong, the shortstop. Joey Wong.
We were Wong.
Well, I know why you got confused. 91 is a prime number, I believe.
And that's exactly what Joey is wearing today. Not to be confused with Colton Wong, by the way, the talented second baseman who is a little nicked up with the Cardinals.
Ground ball to second, and one away. Carlos Sanchez, couple of homers in this game. As Daza comes to the plate, Jonathan Daza batting in the spot previously held by Charlie Blackmon, who homered in the 3rd against John Danks. '22-year-old outfielder Daza out of Maracay in Venezuela. To right field, Adam Eaton in place for out number 2. Sox regulars playing a significant amount of time today, at least the ones that made the trip. And you'll see that more in road games than in home games, because you have a smaller travel party rather than just walking from the facility. This is about a 50-minute drive from the Sox home at Camelback Ranch.
I know that Jose Abreu very happy with his 4 at-bats today. Cabrera getting 4 at-bats. Davidson 4 at-bats. Same thing true with Navarro and Saladino. So not many changes at all for the Sox. And occasionally this happens, as we do see Correll Prime coming in. Here you are getting it at bat. And Nate Jones standing in the mound throwing 1,000,000 miles an hour with an unhittable slider. Way to go. Thanks, Walt Weiss, for putting me in at this particular time.
I certainly appreciate it.
Hey.
They are nuts for Correll Prime and Modesto. Advanced A player who had 32 doubles last year after 47 2 years ago as an Asheville tourist. He played for the team, the Asheville tourist.
He just didn't go down there, right? And they put a uniform on him and said, here.
You look like you'd enjoy the game of baseball. Try this out.
I happened to get a chance to play in Modesto. At the time, it was a Cardinal farm team. Very warm during the summertime in Modesto.
not a positive pitchers league out there. The
Cal
California
League?
League.
No, Cal League was fairly tough.
Nate Jones has strike 3, and he owns a 1-2-3 7th against the Colorado Rockies. 9-4 Sox after 7. Here in Scottsdale, Johnny Danks survived a rough early inning, and the Sox are dancing to a 9-4 lead. Salt River Field's a talking stick. Gotta love the spring training berms out there. The grassy areas for the fans to frolic and meander on.
I know they certainly enjoy it, and with unusual cloud cover, but still a gorgeous day. Pretty nice attendance here. Salt River Field's a talking stick.
One of the newer ballparks out here for spring training. Was it 2011?
I don't know. I do remember that they were really trying to step on it to get it open as quickly, and they had crews working 24 hours a day to put this thing together to make it for that first spring training.
There was a just outside of our booth here in the hallway, there's a poster from 2011, July of 2011. There was a Blake Shelton concert here at the ball yard. 2-1 on Carlos Sanchez, who's had a rather powerful day.
Going hand in hand with all the thunder in the Sox lineup, which has been a constant this spring.
To left field, Thomas in pursuit, and he has no play. Sanchez is 3 out of 4 with 4 RBIs, including 2 homers.
2-run homer coming into 4th inning. And this one hit pretty well. This was a line drive variety. This coming in the 6th inning. So a little thunder from an unlikely place.
Again, there's at least 5 guys in play for those last couple of bench spots for the Sox, and Carlos Sanchez trying to insert himself into that decision-making process with a 3-hit day late in spring training.
What a nice situation to be in, where you seem to have a little more talent than you can use in the spring. Not a little more talent than you need, because you always need a whole lot of talent, but a difficult decision to be made.
4-6-3 on the double play. And 2 gone on the Eaton ground ball.
Slow chopper turns into 2. There's nothing really Sanchez can do. He can't get near the bag to break it up. And on the back end, they get Adam Eaton by a step.
So with Eaton retired, Jerry Sands will pinch hit for Austin Jackson.
Another man in that derby for the final spot.
You know, we've been talking about the final couple of bench spots, and certainly unless something changes dramatically, it's going to be the 2 shortstops, Saladino and Jimmy Rollins. They're going to be taken to Chicago. You're going to have 2 catchers. So it's likely going to come down to 1 spot on that bench, barring some change.
Again, difficult decisions that you love to have when you have some talent. And then it comes down to a number of different factors. But I don't envy Rick Hahn, Robin Ventura, his staff, the entire evaluation process of the front office as they try to determine the best 25 to go north, or in this case, northwest, because heading to Oakland to start out the year.
3-1 on Jerry Sands.
It was nice of you, by the way, to come all the way this way from your palatial estate in Goodyear.
What, for the game today?
Yeah, because I think we should play all of the games on this side as opposed to, I know Glendale is in the equation, but the games that are not in Glendale should be played on this side to give you an opportunity to get to learn the Valley, something that you really didn't know before the start of this spring.
So as you're telling me it's nice of me to come here today,
yes,
you're saying that I should have to make this trip every day. Sands takes a walk with 2 out.
Well, we do have the great restaurants here in the beautiful Scottsdale area, which I know you have availed yourself of.
Yeah, they're losing money on the all-you-can-eat thing with this broadcast crew. There's the 101. Traffic looks wonderful.
That's the way to get just about anywhere in this valley. Spending a lot of time on it in the spring.
This is traffic and weather together in the 8th rather than on the 8s. And the weather looks beautiful, too.
And that's Talking Stick, a lovely hotel, and also, coincidentally, they do have a casino there, which has a few of my bucks.
You've left a pair of deer?
Yes.
At the casino?
And then some. It's an excellent casino. For me, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 9 times I actually win.
That's low. That's not usually the house percentage.
True. But Lady Luck refuses to shine on me to this point.
Are you playing guess the number in the parking lot again?
Did they allow you to park close to the entrance this time?
Well, I've not been. At least recently. 1-2 on Ishikawa. Up and in 2-2.
This is a very nice ballpark. And because the Diamondbacks do play here along with the Rockies, they have pretty strong attendance most of the time.
Ishikawa, who looked like he was not going to get the day off, and then seemed like he was going to get the day off. He was in the initial starting lineup. Then he was a healthy scratch for J.B. Shuck. Now he gets the pinch hit opportunity here in the 8th. Low, 3-2.
As strong as Travis is, all he has to do is get it up in the air, and he can take it out to left center just as easy as he can to right center field. Or just hit it in the cactus in center field.
That there are ample cacti.
There are.
In center out there. Left side from Ishikawa, and foul as Jerry Sands will have to double back. Ample cacti in center.
And you probably don't know this, but they're indigenous to that area of the ballpark.
Oh.
Yeah, they actually built
around.
Yes, because you can't really tear them out.
You know, I never read
They're
in the books that I had
cactus.
Are they?
Oh, yes.
So 2 on, 2 out. The books that I read, they didn't say cacti grow better in center field. But I think I just need to do some more research before our next game here.
As Walt Weiss comes out, and we're going to see a pitching change.
Looks like Shane Broyles entering.
That's because it is.
Well, it's hot out here. How could Shane not broil?
Taking the long run in from the area around right field. So with the score 9-4, we'll step out and be back after these messages. Last year in the minor leagues wasn't horribly successful at 0-6. His ERA a touch over 4. There you look at the numbers, and he comes into this one to try to nail it down. And without further ado, we'll have a promo.
Let's do it, shall we? No more ado. Join Chicago White Sox Charities for the annual garage sale May 14th at U.S. Cellular Field. Take home a piece of White Sox history, including game-used equipment, jerseys, hats, and much more. Entrance to the garage sale is free. A lot of great stuff there. For more information, visit whitesoxcharities.org. And that's not the only thing you'll find on that website. You can also follow Sox Charities on Twitter. By the way, the Sox, during the break, were celebrating the anniversary. It's the 32nd anniversary of the Colts leaving Baltimore.
And there they go. Actually, they called Uber, decided that they had seen enough on this side of the valley.
Those Nate Jones dance videos probably are not going to sell great.
Leary Garcia getting his first at bat. This is 20th game.
Two strikes on Garcia from Broyles. That one fades inside. I guess all the first string players are just going to get on the first bus.
They have absolutely seen enough.
The spring training prerogative. just as strong as the Cy Young surcharge. Up and in on Garcia, and Broyles navigates through a pothole here in the 8th inning. 9-4, bottom 8 coming your way after this.
Show your team pride with White Sox checking and an official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust, member FDIC.
Sox have called on team adverb Tommy Kahnle to throw here in the 8th.
ERA just under 5, on for the 7th time. Didn't have an opportunity to save a game yet. And left-handers have got no hits against him, no runs this year. No batting average. No nothing.
No, nothing at all. It's a former Colorado Rocky himself, Tommy Kahnle. He will face Dylan Thomas.
I remember Dylan Thomas.
I think it might have been spelled differently. The one you're thinking of.
Are you sure?
Kahnle to Thomas, fouled away. A lot of changes for the Sox, but one notable is that Jerry Sands has come into the game at third base. We've seen him a lot in the outfield this spring, but he plays third here in the 8th.
If you're not going to start, it would certainly be wise to be able to carry a lot of different gloves to the ballpark on a daily basis, because it's versatility that's probably going to get you one of those roles that you covet.
Ishikawa from first on the scoop, and the cover from Kahnle, one away.
That was a good play. It was a backhand little flip. Travis knew he had to get rid of it quickly, and Kahnle over to make the play. Not easy on that little chopper to the right side. Take another look at it as Thomas goes down by a step. Ishikawa with a good play, an unusual backhand flip, but they get the job done.
One out here in the 8th. How about Kahnle covering? We saw him catch the front edge of the bag there. Is that where you want to be?
You want to touch the inside part of the bag with your right foot, and you just as soon not cross over at all into the path of the runner. So when you make your turn, when you hit the bag, you turn toward the field of play. which serves a dual purpose. One, you don't get run down, and the other, if there is a man on base, you can swirl around and be ready to make a throw wherever you have to make it. A lot of pitchers just don't get the footwork down, but ideally you want the ball at least a couple of steps before you hit the bag. That time they had to hurry, and Canely did it nicely.
He goes up the ladder that time for strike 2 on Hilliard. Hector Sanchez tried to grant him a strike there, framing the pitch outside 2-2. Sox with a win today would go to 14-12-1 this spring, but again, the above the fold news has been the home run potential on the roster. And again, that's not to say it's going to carry over to the regular season. There's no guarantee on anything like that. However, the number is so significantly larger than last year, it's a robust positive sign.
Well, Frazier added at third and Lowry added at second, bring 51 home runs to the starting lineup. 51 that were not here last year. So that in itself is going to be something to look forward to as we take a look at the Rocky bullpen.
I've heard Matt has Pierpont control, Steve.
Let me check this out and find out exactly who this might be.
It's Matt Pierpont. I've been studying up on Rockies relievers.
Oh, well, you're also, see, that's not fair, because as you're looking at the information provided us, and notice that minor league call-ups for the game today, old number 94 we used to call him, at Pierpont.
Yeah, if I had a telestrator, I would right now circle. You see that? See in the top left corner of the screen, Stoney? There's this big, we call it the score bug, right? It's got the score, and it's got the count, and how many outs there are.
And pitches?
Yeah, also pitches.
Which inning it is?
Yeah, and a little diamond, too. That represents the baseball diamond. See, the defensive replacements just came down there, right?
Yes.
Pierpont was on the screen while you, I don't know, you were reading Macbeth or something.
I was checking through some of the advanced scouting.
Ah, yes. How is the spray chart that you were looking at for Mr. Hilliard?
Well, he moves the ball all around, Jason. Funny you should ask. He has an extensive spray chart.
Voluminous evidence. This is pitch number 10 of the at-bat. Canely inside. So the reserve catcher is standing in now. Dustin Garneau, who has entered for Nick Hundley, who singled home a run in the first.
For those of you not familiar with your Garneaus, it is Garneau.
Ball to strike on Garneau, who was a 19th round pick of the Rockies out of the very powerful Cal State Fullerton program in 2009.
They've had a good program for quite some time.
Rick Vanderhook now leading the Titans. Canely misses in and low, 2-1 after the 1-out walk. Sox have scored in every inning today other than the first, third, and eighth. You know, we haven't done, Stoney. It's been a couple days. We've had games, and we have neglected to pass along our thoughts about Joe Garagiola, who has passed away this past week. One of the great ambassadors for not only baseball but television. I mean, he's such a sizable guy.
Well, he had
in terms of stature.
A spectacular career, 9 years in the major leagues.
Fastball from Canely, 2 out.
And a lot of people don't know that he was actually thought of as a better prospect than Yogi Berra.
They grew up on the same street,
yep.
Right?
Yes, and a man who spent a great deal of time coming to prominence on television. The Today Show, one of his stops, as well as baseball, Saturday afternoon. Worked with Vin Scully, one of the few people that can say that, only in that Vin usually works by himself on the Dodger broadcasts. But Joe was beloved here, especially in Phoenix. His son was the general manager of the Diamondbacks. He passed away at 90, had a world of friends in and out of baseball, and I know that he was doing television here till very close to the end of his life. And the stories were phenomenal. He was just a good man. I had lunch with him a few times. Of course, he paid. And I really liked him then.
You talk about just the varied things that he did.
Yep.
Today's Show filled in for Johnny Carson.
Yes, he did.
He was the host of To Tell the Truth, the game show.
You're talking about Gene Rayburn's To Tell the Truth?
Yeah, that was Match Game, right? Gene did Match Game, didn't he?
He did.
Gary Moore was
Gary Moore.
To Tell the Truth, I think.
Boy. That was before my time, but my grandfather told me that he was very good.
What window was your time? So we can square that up.
Well, it depends on just exactly what we're talking about. Pretty much, I think I started with Green Day.
1-2 from Canely. And he's got strike 3. Back-to-back punch-outs for Tommy Canely as we continue along the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. 9-4 Sox. To the 9th we go. That app. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat. The #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet. Steve Stone's tablet currently has the MLB.com at bat app on it. How about that?
And to think, when you started just 9 games ago, you were fairly sane.
Yes.
Now,
I'm holding visual evidence.
I couldn't attest to it. That is my iPad.
There it is. Steve Stone's iPad in my possession. How about that? With the at-bat app up.
It's really one of the great things. It's opened up a world that I didn't know existed. I still don't know how to use it, but I didn't know it existed.
A land of confusion, if you will.
Hey, Darryl, let's sharpen up now.
J.B. Shuck batting for the Sox. Some of his teammates have left the ball yard as he swats this one foul. Some of the regulars left through the center field gate. Hopefully J.B. has a ride home.
Well, I think they certainly, the guys who started this game, had enough at bats. J.B. probably would relish the additional at bats that he's gotten today. 9-4. Sox have out hit the Rockies 13-6.
Second base, 1-1. All right, we're coming toward the end of spring training.
Yes.
Home game with Texas tomorrow. We will not have that on CSN Chicago. We will have the game at Goodyear, the Arizona finale, coming up on the 30th. What are maybe a couple bullet point takeaways for you, at least right now in spring training?
Probably the best attitude in the clubhouse of guys who have, a lot of them have just come together. But
Hard hit ball to first, down number 2.
A great attitude this year. I think the clubhouse has come together very nicely with guys coming from a couple of different spots to mix with the veterans on this team. And a sense of confidence that they can get something done this year. Also, obviously, the added power. We haven't seen Avisail Garcia, who's had a great spring. I mean, there's some thunder in this lineup. And that's one of the things that I certainly have enjoyed this spring, and I think our fans are going to enjoy. The bullpen looks pretty solid. We've had very good efforts out of the bullpen just about each and every time we have broadcast a game.
May, a single up the gap in right center that's going to turn into a double. Jacob May, a 2-out, 2-base hit.
Jacob May can fly. Hits this ball well, and then thinking about 2 bases right away as Walt Weiss goes to the mound again. So May, knowing that he's going to wind up at second base, we've got a pitching change, as well you would expect here in the 9th inning of a 9-4 game. And it is the aforementioned Mr. Pierpont. So as he strolls in, we'll step out and be back after these messages. He is from the Modesto team. My partner Jason knows the nickname of every team in the country and knew that the Modesto team was called the Nuts.
Thank you, thank you. Nothing says cool and hip
like knowing
all the nicknames. Please don't rush to send dinner invitations my way. What a great parlor game we could play. Pierpont out of Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina, not far from where the Sox AAA club used to play at Knight Stadium in Fort Mill, South Carolina. At the old castle before BB&T Ballpark was built.
That's been, for a lot of people who got involved with minor league baseball, that's been one of the great revenue producers over the last 15 years. The franchises have skyrocketed.
Some great new ballparks in the AAA level. And the Sox have one of them to play in. That new downtown ballpark in Charlotte is fantastic.
What was your favorite in the International League?
The new park in Allentown for Lehigh Valley is beautiful. Indianapolis is nestled right downtown. You ever get there? Never have?
Just when I was racing.
Just through the city?
I could only complete
for sport
300 of the miles. But I liked Indianapolis. Actually, not getting that much of an opportunity to go there. And I did not have a AAA stop there.
2-2 on Saladino, who has 2 hits to his name today. Where'd you play in AAA? Where all did you play?
Phoenix.
That was it?
And that was in the Pacific Coast League. That was the Giants AAA team. And Hawaii was in the league at the time, which was a whole lot of fun.
Saladino strokes this one to left center. And that's going to get a run home with a bobble in left. Tyler Saladino drives in a second run today, continuing another sizzling day for him this spring.
You ask of some of the pleasant surprises and the impressions made. Both guys vying for the job at shortstop have done a great job. Jimmy Rollins has had a wonderful spring. Tyler Saladino just keeps getting better. And he has shellacked the baseball today. I mean, he's hit it right on the nose just about every time up.
Well, Carlos Sanchez was a guy who opened in this spot for the Sox. He hit a couple of homers from the 9 position. And Louis Lechich, who was an A-ball last year with the Kannapolis Intimidators, skies this one to center. Tough play. The Sun wreaked havoc with this ball, and it bounces over the wall for a double. Daza in center never got the first look at it.
He was playing awfully shallow, and it's to be expected when you really don't know much about the guy at bat. But Lechich hits the daylights out of this one. Looking up now in what is becoming a very bright sky. Daza has absolutely no shot at this one. So the hit parades continue. It's now 11-4 with 16 hits banged out by the Sox up and down this lineup. But mostly the middle to the bottom part has provided all of the thunder.
Louis Lechich, by the way, who was quite the pitcher at San Diego his final couple of years there. He threw 82 innings and a third in 2014. He was a pitcher slash hitter coming out of San Diego in the West Coast Conference and has become a hitter full time for the Sox with 130 games and 494 at bats last year with Kannapolis. All right, so I asked you a little while ago what you like from spring training. What's maybe a question or two that we'll see answered or maybe not see answered as the season gets going? Where's a spot that is still a question to you?
I'd like to see Matt Latos throwing the ball a bit better. I think he would like to throw the ball a bit better than he's thrown it.
Check swing on a ball in the dirt, and Coates is out. We'll finish that thought coming up bottom 9. The Sox with a large lead, 11-4 after 8.5. And we told you a couple days ago that Paul Konerko has been at Wayne Gretzky Fantasy Camp. Well, we have found video of Paul Konerko skating at Wayne Gretzky Fantasy Camp. He's number 14, as you very much might expect.
Right.
Big hockey guy. And Paulie still can get limber out there.
Yep, and that is not a slow motion replay. He is actually coming off the ice at full speed.
Good to see Paul Konerko once again showing his athletic ability, this time in hockey.
Not an easy transition coming from a wonderful career in baseball.
Hey, he's a big guy, too. That is not easy for somebody that big.
True. Although
you're getting on him on his ability to 40-yard dash on the ice, and I think you're not being kind.
That's right. I forgot Chara's not 6'9". 6'9", 7'8" on skates.
Right. Those are some big skates. I don't know what hockey league you're in. Tony Walters to lead off for the Rockies as Tommy Kahnle misses with a ball. So before the break, we were talking about Matt Latos and that fourth starter spot.
Well, I think as the only right-hander in the rotation, you certainly want to see that particular spot eat up some innings, throw the ball well. I know Matt would like to throw it a bit better than he's thrown it to this point. And he has said that there's a few difficulties he'd like to work out with a couple of sidelines or two. That's one of the things, certainly. The whole configuration of the bullpen, I think, is going to be pretty strong. So I'm not really too worried about that. David Robertson has thrown the ball very well.
Zach Duke
has
thrown the ball very well.
There's not a lot of areas of concern coming out of spring training.
Nate Jones, who we saw earlier today. Matt Albers has allowed no runs in 6 2/3. And Scott Carroll yesterday got the win in back of Latos. 4 innings, 2 runs.
I think what's of concern to just about each and every team, but especially important for a team that has a wide open division, is getting off to a very good start. And it's not going to be that easy because there's 4 on the road at Oakland. Then you come home for only 3 with the Indians. By the way, the Indians, an area of concern for them is Michael Brantley. Has not responded, and his shoulder has not come around quite as quickly as he would like, and they don't know about his availability early in the season. And for the Indians, who are going to have some problems offensively, that's not a real good thing.
Especially with Lonnie Chisenhall's very rough spring. When we saw them a couple of days ago, he was 1 out of 21.
And he is not with the ball club any longer.
Strike 3, 1 down.
So then after the very abbreviated homestand, he has a trip to Minnesota to face a team that has a whole lot of thunder in their lineup, the Minnesota Twins, and then Tampa Bay. So 3 of the first 4 series are on the road. So it's imperative to get off to that quick start.
Yeah, Lonnie Chisenhall just went on the DL with a hurt left wrist. Strike 2 from Canely. It seems to be the consensus that nobody knows who's going to win the Central. And you never know going into the season. But of all of the divisions in baseball, it seems as though the Central has the most variation in its preseason selections. And the Sox have been at the top of that in a couple of different projections, including that USA Today one that came out a few months ago that had the Sox right around 92 wins.
There's a lot of people being paid to evaluate that are having a hard time figuring out who's going to do what in the Central. When you take a look at what they did in the offseason, there isn't one team in the division that improved more than the Sox with acquisitions. So you look at Kansas City, I don't think they'll be quite as good. They've had some attrition. They were fortunate to get Alex Gordon back because that would have been devastating to go with some of the other guys who will not be coming back. But they still, I would assume, have the inside track.
Canely a strikeout, 10th punch out for Rockies hitters today, and the Sox are an out away from their 14th spring training win.
I'm not sure that the Tigers did a great deal to make themselves substantially stronger.
Jordan Zimmerman is the headliner there, but other than that.
Right. Their lineup, which has some holes in it, makes them vulnerable, and usually their bullpen makes them vulnerable. And Cleveland didn't add offensively, and that's some of the things that they had some problems with last year. Good pitching, very good pitching, both in the bullpen and the starting rotation. And Minnesota really improved offensively. They're going to have some thunder in that lineup. But pitching, really a problem with the Twins. If they get pitching, they're going to surprise a whole lot of people.
On the Tigers, the Sox won't see Detroit until June 3rd, 4th, and 5th this season. Couple series with the Twins prior to that. Home and road both for Kansas City. But the Sox will be predominantly out of division on the road to start the year in April. Ball squeezes through into center, and the Rockies have 2 on with 2 out in the 9th. So Prime will bat with a couple of runners on. I gotta say, if your last name is Prime and you wear number 96, you're not doing it right.
Which one would you like him to wear?
1, 3, 5, 77.
Okay.
Well, 77 is not a prime number. That's an errant. Somebody give me a list of prime numbers here. Okay. 91.
I'll get it.
91 a prime number?
I'll get it out of the clearinghouse in Omaha for you.
You've tweeted all the prime numbers recently?
Yes. The bullpen up and going. It's Brad Goldberg.
Is 94 a prime number? I don't think so. No?
Could be, though.
6-1.
I made it
34. 6 doesn't go into it.
I made it in mathematics up till 2nd grade.
4 ends up with 2. Carry the 1. 14. That's not. 3 doesn't go into it. I think 94 is a prime number. No, of course it's not. It's an even number. 2 goes into it.
I believe
I set that up for you, and you weren't there for me.
Well, I have a hard time with that aspect of an educational background.
Which aspect? Even numbers?
No, math.
Ah. I thought the M
is
your
my
middle name.
It is my middle name.
Mathematics.
Yes.
There's at least one math teacher at Homewood Flossmoor High School saying, yeah, I didn't teach that guy. Referring to me, who thinks 94 is a prime number. They are running away in droves.
Well, Michelle wanted to jump on you in a hurry for that, but she's too kind to mention that apparently you were delusional when you came out with that. And that I believe was a quote.
1-2 from Canely. Low.
Well, that's awfully close.
Uh-huh.
You got to get rung up on that.
How do you really feel, Steve?
Let's take another look at it. It's absolutely a strike. It's late. It's 11-4.
You call the strike zone how you call it.
No. It's subjective.
Fouled away. So you're one to move the strike zone depending on where the game is.
The umpires used to say, swing the bat, son, when they were about ready to expand that zone, depending on the score of the game and the situation.
Two and two from Canely. Up and in.
That looked like a strike, too. Yep. This is
Let's
right.
take a look.
This is right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's Ben May, who's done a very good job behind the plate today, especially if he calls this one a strike.
Payoff pitch. Fouled off. You were never an umpire for very long, were you?
Well, we talked about both of our Little League experiences as umpires.
Yeah, but it wasn't long, was it? With that kind of strike zone?
No, because the little kids would cry. And you felt so bad for them.
You know, if you write in, Steve will come to your kid's birthday party. U.S. Cellular Field, care of Steve Stone.
Actually, it's a much better idea to employ Southpaw, who has just an unbelievable sense of humor. A lot of people underestimate the sense of humor of Southpaw.
It's physical comedy.
It's terrific.
He's the Dick Van Dyke of the next generation. 3-2 to left field, and falling fast enough to get a run home for the Rockies. 11-5. All right, so this is what Twitter's for, right? Michelle has tweeted the prime numbers
Yes.
at me
Okay.
and says only because I went to Marion and had to show up an HF alum. LOL. I don't like the tone of that LOL. Sox are going to the bullpen. 2 even numbers. 48 out, 94 in. It's 11-5.
Last year at Winston-Salem was 1-4, but a fine. 2.97 ERA. 57 hits in 57 innings. That's not too bad with 58 strikeouts, which is very good. So he inherits some problems on the bases, runners at the corners, as Colorado threatening to claw their way back into this.
A late rally burgeoning for the Rockies today.
Still a few folks in the stands. A lot of White Sox fans here today.
Brad Goldberg's an Ohio guy out of Beechwood, Ohio.
That literally is very close to where I was raised. We had to walk 15 miles to school in the snow.
School was actually farther away when it snowed. Yeah?
Seemed like it, yes. Those were the good old days, though.
No cars back then?
No. One-room schoolhouse.
0-2 from Goldberg. Oh, I'm sorry it was so tough for you growing up. But you fought it off well to have a wonderful baseball career. And I'm glad that we've gotten you an automobile after all these years.
Things have certainly changed. Although I wrecked the first one this year.
2 strikes. That is down the line. The Rockies continue here in the 9th. 3 straight hits for Colorado. Well, it was a couple innings ago. The regulars went out that center field fence gate. So either the bus has already made it back or it's going to be a long walk home.
It was a wise decision to send them ahead.
Still 2 out, and Goldberg misses outside. "11 saves last year with Winston-Salem, 25 games finished for Goldberg for the high A Winston-Salem dash. Named for the speed, not the punctuation mark.
At Grand Junction, Sam Hilliard had a pretty good run at it. 306.
One final strike left for the Sox to get. We'll see you again in a couple of days. Sox will be at the Reds for our final telecast of the spring in Goodyear.
We just saw the Reds. Not going to be the easiest of years for the Cincinnatis, I don't think.
Close pitch, didn't get it. 2-2.
Got a couple of teams in their division that are awfully tough.
3 with 90 wins plus last year.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Pittsburgh seems to be fairly healthy, and St. Louis trying to stay that way but having a hard time doing it. Of course, the Cubs, chosen by many as the preseason best team, not only in the division but in the National League, and once again picked to make it to the World Series. But strange things happen on the way to that pick, as the Nationals will attest to.
Yeah, it looked like they had a window of a couple years.
Yep.
That is starting to slowly close. 3-2. Down low, bases loaded, 2 out. This is starting to have a Northern Iowa, Texas A&M feel to it, but without the clock.
The fans, however, could use perhaps another pitching change, but we'll see if
Fans do love pitching changes,
they do.
Don't they?
Yes. Free baseball as Dustin Garneau, not to be confused with Morneau, who played on this team last year.
First pitch, a strike to Garneau. Bases loaded, 2 out. 0-2. Oh boy, that was dead center on a microphone, methinks.
That one hit the screen, saving some fans, those that are left. Some problems, certainly.
Oh, and 2 from Goldberg. The Rockies have gone patient on us after walking once in the first 7 innings this afternoon. One and 2. High and tight. If it's you in let him hit it mode right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
CB lines it at somebody in the infield. And the bullpen up and going.
That one is not close. 11-7 on the wild pitch.
Three runs across here in the 9th. Fortunately, Garneau was able to duck down under that one.
3-2 from Goldberg. Called strike 3. That will do it, Stoney.
It was tough in the 9th, but other than that, a lot of offense today. 11-7 with 16 hits. You love the fact that they hit the ball out of the ballpark as they've done. So We will see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good. Sox at Reds on Wednesday. For Jim Angio, our director, our producer Michelle Godwin, our associate producer Chris Kamka, our tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. For Steve Stone, I'm Jason Benetti saying so long from Scottsdale. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.